All right, welcome everyone. We are Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Haikyuu, Season 4, Episode 9. All right, we finished the practice match with Datiko.
Indeed.
Oh my god.
More like practice day.
Yeah,
like,
a series, if you will.
8 sets. That's
8
a lot.
sets. 25 points potentially per team per set.
That's like 200 points potentially.
Per team. Yeah, exactly.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
nuts. Absolutely ridiculous.
It's nuts. So now that our boys are all properly exhausted, trained, and what have you, they need some good meat in their bodies.
Yes.
And then potentially maybe a little bit of a time skip coming up here so that we can decide what part of their progression towards nationals they're going to be preparing with. Maybe we can have some moments where players are interacting with each other outside of school in school, but outside of
outside of volleyball,
the gym, the court and what have you.
We got that bit of home life with Hinata, which was great. I'm not sure if that signifies kind of like an ending point to this sort of like training arc that we've gotten.
That's my thought. Yeah.
Because we're due for a match.
We're due for not only a match. I think we're due for specifically some aspects of the characters that were brought up via Kageyama's training camp bit to be brought back into the story here. And even if it's just one of them, just kind of seeing where things are at with them is going to build up even more the hype for nationals.
Right.
But yeah, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, then be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, and then come back here for the discussion. All right, we got ourselves an interlude episode. We are set up for nationals. We are doing the opening ceremonies right now. We have gotten a chance to give everyone a little bit of a look into what are their kind of little things they do, in their downtime to prepare for, this intense moment in their lives.
Yeah, because this is one of the most intense moments in their lives ever, if not the most. Because, this is what they've been working for a very long time. And everything is riding on what's coming up here, right? For the third years, every single match, right?
Every single match is potentially the last.
It's potentially the last. And two, it's going to be up against some of the best teams out there.
You could have them all be Shiratorizawas, essentially.
Basically.
So while there is definitely going to be some measure of, I would say, seeding that will put them in not necessarily the top of the top, tiers or what have you, because I'm sure it's going to be based not just on their teams, but the teams that and the results that they put up in the past. So Karasuno is probably going to be a pretty low seed. However, Shiratorizawa was one of the best teams in the country, so they beat them. So that might put them up a bit higher in the seed. It might be completely random. It might be based just entirely on location, and then they go in a specific order. Who knows? We'll find that out later. But we caught up with everyone. I love the bit of Suga, Asahi, Daichi, and Kiyoko all going to a shrine and having this be their... Well, because the other characters did it as well, but the idea that we'd focus on the third years because there's the ones that have that real tense desire for having good luck in their future because they'll take anything. Well, right, but the idea is that they're so desperate for a little bit of hope that they're like, let's pray to all the gods and put all the luck, toss all the salt over the shoulder and do all the things and dance and we do the weird stuff just to get us a chance. And this Kyoko's none of this really means anything. They're like, why did you have to say that?
We're already stressing out so bad.
We know that it doesn't mean anything, but why not give it a shot? It's literally no risk in trying, right? I love it because our boys, it's been something that we've had the privilege of being able to put it out of our minds thus far because the pacing in season 3 was all focused around a single match. And then when that match was over, we got this huge catharsis of yes, we made it to nationals, which was what Daichi's dream was. His dream was not to go and win nationals. This is important. The fact that Daichi was the focus this episode is basically saying, you've achieved your dream, your goal, the big thing that you set out from the beginning of the first season.
And you weren't even sure if it was possible. You believed and you had your crow wings and all that stuff, and you stood high on the trees. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
now we're here. What's next? What do you do after massive success?
Right. And I love that Daichi was the one who had the stress dream, because the thing is that, okay, Asahi having a stress dream, I would say
it makes sense.
Makes sense. It'd be expected, right?
Right.
Like he'd be like, oh, one of these again, and of course it'd still, get him all riled up and everything, but
it's a bunch of brick walls just smacking him on the head.
Yeah, exactly. But for Daichi, he's the one that's been the leader. He's the one that's been level-headed and keeps his cool and everything, and helps the team. He leads the team, right?
Right.
So him having one of these dreams where he's rattled and he goes all the way to the school just to check to make sure to quiet that doubt in his head that the dream was just a dream, right? Because that was something that he probably legitimately had to worry about, right? Back when it was just, him and Asahi and Suga, and it's like, okay, everyone else is changing out. The volleyball team hasn't really been a thing. Now we're second years, and a whole new, are there going to be any first years that come in? Like, is this just going to be over?
So we do know that in the history they had a great volleyball thing when Daichi was a first year, though. So that was more of a dream thing, not based in any reality of his past, though. Because they had Ukai, old man Ukai, doing the Spartan stuff back when.
And then correct me if I'm wrong, but then at when they were second years, then old man Ukai left, or was that later?
I think it might have even been earlier, but the point was that there were still players that had the experience of being trained with Ukai, so it was a steady downward thing over the course of a couple years.
Yes,
but it wasn't like it was like completely like no one showing up or anything like that. I think that's more of just a nightmare he'd have because if he's not able to be there, how can he know that his court, his team, his players are taking care of this okay? There's I think that feeling of like when you're a leader and you have to pass the torch on, that act of giving up control is a really good kind of humbling thing, because you end up delegating, but it's hard because you have to trust them that they're going to be able to do it okay.
Like the whole thing of him being like, hey, if you guys catch a cold, like you're dead. Like don't you dare do that, because I know that you guys are excited and enthusiastic, but like we did it now. We're going to nationals, so like you can't just mess around. Like this is serious stuff here.
Level heads need to prevail in this case here.
Exactly.
And the first
those
years
are in short supply.
Yes, on Karasuno's team, there's probably only 4 level heads total, and the funny thing is that I think one of them is like Tsukishima. Like So back in previously, when Daichi takes his bad fall and hits his head, Suga, just wakes him up and is like, there is a shortage of level heads on this team, Daichi. It would be a pity to damage yours. That's a good reference right there. I was like, wait.
Yeah, you're like, God. Where's he going with this? Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I like it. We also get to see a lot of stuff with regards to the main players that we've been given the focus on, just kind of staying active to kind of suppress their antsiness, if there is any, because we don't get focus on Kageyama and Hinata and Tsukishima as being antsy, but more that they're like, we're doing our thing, but they're kind of in their own space. They're not interacting as much. And then it's players like, Yamaguchi, Suga, and they're all like kind of in their own heads, like kind of getting prepared. And you don't know if Suga is actually necessarily just studying for volleyball. I assume he's actually studying for college stuff, actually.
Probably, yeah, to take his mind off of volleyball. That way he can relax and, de-stress. And
But then you get like our clown characters, Tanaka and Nishinoya, who, throughout this whole episode, we're finding plenty of reasons to get like excited, riled up, just kind of, just being themselves and stuff.
Roused.
But it's aroused, yes.
Yeah.
But I just loved how they self-sabotaged constantly by having them bump into each other.
Yep.
And then almost ruin their own hype that they would build up through these funny little interactions.
Well, okay, so the whole idea of the awesome video, right? The awesome compilation. One, that's just great because
it's brilliant.
It's brilliant because you totally get that something like that would happen, and now that they're going to nationals, it's like this super big deal. So of course you'd want to have things like that to help build up the hype around it and everything, right?
Right.
But the idea that then they see it and they're like, "Oh man, we're awesome! Yeah, that's right." And then later they're like, "Hold on, Kiyoko is taking a bath right now. Now that's going to like supplant the images that we have in our own heads of us being awesome. We need to stay focused here, but I don't know if we can do it." And
that's really difficult.
Yeah. And then I can't remember who it was that commented, like, "I'm pretty sure you'll figure out, you'll manage having both of those images in your head just fine."
I'm pretty sure it was like Suga.
Yeah,
it was Inoshita, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah. But
yeah.
Also, I love it.
That was something that was rather nice. Is Inoshita is a character that fills the everyman kind of role on this team.
Yeah.
He's a second year, so he's not too young or too old, you know?
Right.
He doesn't have any outstanding, ridiculous skills or talents, so he's never a starter. But when he took over for Daichi when Daichi had the head injury, I think that was something that was building up for the, hey, when, we go into the next year and people like Hinata and Kageyama become second years, we need a second year as of right now to take over when they're a third year.
Yep.
And let's be real, it's not going to be Tanaka or Nishinoya. No, it's not.
No.
Like, Nishinoya, definitely not. And I don't think he would even want to be. Tanaka, I could see actually wanting to be a captain and not being that bad of a captain.
Right,
but let's be real.
He's not level-headed.
Well, not only that, he would need a Suga. Like, he would need a boy to be like, calm down, Tanaka. You're gonna kill all the first years before they even like get onto the court.
Well, so plus it just sets a bad example when the team captain rips his shirt off and starts waving it around above his head,
Right, but I think Inoshita fills that level-headed role as a character who, one, we haven't gotten as much time to get into. But a lot of his motivations comes from an area that he was one of the players that didn't invest that much.
Yep.
And as Karasuno as a team has been putting results on the board, like literally, it's stirring up those feelings probably again in characters like not only Inoshita, but Narita and Kinoshita, the two, really bench warmers.
The two, like, what are their names again? People on the team.
Right, exactly. So it's just exciting to think about the fact that while Nationals is a sign of big things on the horizon, it is a sign of big change coming on the horizon. They are like a sandwich packed together. Is that while you have the artisan bread of the Nationals, I bite into it. It's just it's so good. It crunches and it's just, there's some meat in there that means that we're gonna be transitioning to next year at some point.
Well, Tanaka remembered all about the meat when suddenly it's like, oh, my childhood friend. Yes.
Oh,
they're not in fourth grade anymore.
That was such a random but funny scene to have just be you have basically the bump in from Hinata where he basically got, like thrown off of things, bumps into the only person he could actually dislodge.
Right, because Hinata is way too small to actually move anyone else.
The one character smaller than him. Nishinoya is like, oh my God. Thank you.
Yeah. Hinata. Yeah.
Shoyo, thank you. Thank you so much for...
I can't do anything. This is like,
this must just happen.
This is one of the ways to do the tropey thing in a way that doesn't, like, that owns the tropiness while at the same time not feeling overly tropey, because the whole trope didn't actually happen, right? It got stopped. But the thing is that, Nishinoya is aware of the trope and he's like, oh, yes.
This is one of those moments.
Yeah.
It's like straight out of a manga.
Right, exactly. I've been waiting my entire life for this moment, right?
And then she just catches him like he's her lost little child, basically. She's tall. She's a volleyball player. So she's like 5'10" or something like that, right?
Yeah, sure.
And he's like... He's like 6 inches shorter than her or something.
Or more.
And she's just like, oh, my lost child. What is wrong? Are you
and then
okay?
Tanaka knows her, which is great because then you have the two of them, being their goober selves together because they're a package deal.
Right. And you didn't also do the thing of Nishinoya being like, oh, you know her? It was more like, oh, you know her?
Yeah.
And then it leads to this moment of like, and you have gotten so big, and he's just like staring down the chest.
And I think it was Suga that comments was like, yes, he's finally realized she is in fact a woman, right? Like,
and Daichi's like, how rude.
And now we just can't speak to her.
Well, yeah, he's like, I see Tanaka has turned to stone.
Yeah.
I love it though, because while we're coming to nationals and we do know a lot of the characters prior to this, it is fun to have moments like Daichi bumping into his old friend, that the team that they beat, in like their first part of the first,
season
tournament
way back when.
Having characters like that who are, kind of one-off characters potentially just be out there in the world. That we can just kind of go, oh, right, you have a name and a face and a character on Karasuno that you're connected to.
Yeah.
Cool. That's exciting, because then that these characters have lives, and when we do their slice of life moments, like in this episode, they then mean more potentially. So Daichi getting all this focus in this episode was a really cool switching up of things. I was worried we were going to go full clip show, though. I am just going to let you know, like, there have been moments in this season where there have been noticeable art dips, like just noticeable. The one where Kageyama, I just almost want to show you here. When Kageyama was running, his head was a block of cheese. Like, it was so bad that I'm like, wait a minute. I thought Kageyama had a small head. That's kind of the whole point of his.
Are you sure it wasn't like his leggings or whatever? Like
his chin was square, dude. Like, it's just like what is going on here? This was just really random and funny. So you have them all going through montages of the stuff that they're doing.
Right, and Kageyama's jogging, I think.
First. Right.
Yeah.
Look at that horrendous head art there.
That's just like a slightly curved but otherwise straight line for like the front of his face, no nose, and then his eyes are
it just hurts.
Yeah, and no mouth either. Like, which I guess he doesn't necessarily need,
Right. But oh man, the pain. And then I love the Hinata text him of like, hey, I'm going to New Year's trying to visit with Yamaguchi so he can wish for a certain victory. Want to come? Just no. And it's like Hinata's little tsundere coming out. It's not like I wanted you to go or anything. Baka,
And of course, Yamaguchi would totally be down for something like that, right? Whereas Suki, of course,
Suki's too logical.
You can imply that he's not interested because Yamaguchi's going, but Tsuki is definitely not.
Right. Also, the idea that Hinata would be there just is like, and you think that I would spend my free time hanging out with Hinata?
Yeah.
Like, yes, cool. I like volleyball now. That doesn't mean I want to be his friend or anything.
By the way, one of the things that I gotta say I really appreciated this episode. This was actually one of the bath scenes that I liked a lot more than most bath scenes in anime, because it's a bath scene, right, with the two girls of the team, right, but they actually had some really good conversations between the two of them, and for these two characters, because they're so quiet, or in Yachi's case, just sort of like nervous and spastic around people, they wouldn't actually have these open up to each other, be vulnerable, in this moment where they don't have anything else to distract them or get in the way. So I really liked, this was actually like a good usage of that. Like it
even though she was kind of opening up a little bit, just Kiyoko was like, she was talking about her scars and stuff.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying this is one of those situations where I feel like that's an environment, that one of the few environments where that would actually be able to happen.
Yes.
Whereas
it's generally they wouldn't do that.
Like the closest equivalent I would say would be in Yachi's introductory episode when they were in the locker room and they were just kind of talking for a little bit, right? And even then they did a little bit of fan service there. But the idea of having something where we can have time with these two characters that don't get as much focus because they're not playing in the actual games,
right,
and get to know them a bit more.
Yeah. Also, what's kind of fun about this is while they're definitely here because of Karasuno as a team, they're talking about each other.
Right, exactly. They're not just talking about the boys.
They're not just talking about the team and what have you.
Yep.
And while I love the idea of getting more kind of stuff with regards to the third years, Kiyoko being someone who was in sports makes sense then why she would have been recruited at some point to be the manager for the boys volleyball group or what have you. But that means at some point she stopped going to club for her track group. Now, that might be something where there's no real definitive way of why that was the case. But what I'm guessing it was that she doesn't have that many friends. The idea that one of the main reasons why people would go to clubs is not because of it just being their passion, their specific thing, but there's actually people there that are their reasons for staying.
Right, because for most people, it's not some huge passion like it is for Hinata. It's like Suki would say, it's just a school club.
It's just a school club.
Yeah.
Right. So it's probably just because you have one friend there, you know?
Yeah, or it's something you kind of enjoy, so might as well.
Right, but Daichi would have had to specifically ask Kiyoko, hey...
Sure.
Could you be our, boys volleyball, club manager?
Right.
I would love to have you there. The idea of a person saying, I need you. I want you to be partnered with me in this thing. That feels good. That feels really good. And and I'm sure she was decent at hurdling, but she did say that during the practice of that, she made a lot of points where she was hitting the top of the hurdles.
Right. More than most. Yeah.
Well, at the very least, you're going to do that just from doing it because it's you eventually train until you get so tired you're going to clip it anyway. But yeah, it's a thing where it was potentially something that pushed her out of the club to where Daichi ends up recruiting her for this. So that's really awesome.
And now the mystery is finally solved. That's a good point. Why did she always wear tights?
Oh, was that ever a question brought up specifically by Tanaka, Nishinoya, or any of them?
No, but it was something that was consistent throughout the show.
Oh, right. Her character design never faltered on that front. It seems like a lot of times she was wearing like track pants as well. She was wearing not necessarily tights either. She was wearing like legitimate full pants and what have you.
I absolutely love the callback of them finally seeing the whatever the tower was, and then being like, oh, that's the actual tower, and then Kuro being like, so now that you've actually seen the tower, right.
Kuro is like definitely the troll when it comes to Daichi and Karasuno as a whole.
Oh yeah,
but the fun and love in it is great because while they're supposed to be the rival teams or what have you, you know that really Nekoma is the better team in a lot of ways. It's just that they want to stir up that rivalry again so that the team can consistently have that battle of the garbage dump kind of back and forth, cats and crows.
I will say, though, personally, I think at this point, Karasuno's better than Nekoma.
I think that we could definitely see, because I think at some point that's what
garbage dump battle has to happen.
Well, right. I will just say, if there's any match I can guarantee you is going to happen, regardless, Nekoma and Karasuno are going to have a match.
Right.
The one match I am hoping happens, but I don't think is necessarily going to happen, is Fukurodani versus Karasuno. I think it would be. Yeah. I think it would be kind of the just wet dream to have them both face Karasuno, but that means one of them is going to beat Karasuno.
Well, not necessarily.
I think so.
Or Karasuno beats both of them.
Karasuno beats both of them. I'll just say.
Hey, I will say, yes, no, I know what you mean. That being said, we were saying the same thing about Shiratorizawa.
Well, no, but this is the problem. This is the problem. Shiratorizawa was introduced as we are replacing... because they built up Ushijima from the beginning of season 1. They built him up rather quickly when they were showing the magazines and stuff. But the thing with Shiratorizawa was that the season 2, episode 1 encounter with Hinata from the concrete and all that was specifically to say that Seijo is going to lose against Karasuno. The real battle is going to be against Shiratorizawa. That was a way of building up this specific team and saying this will be the match. The problem about this, though, is that if we look back at the past as a little bit of an example, both teams, Fukurodani and Nekoma, were teams that Karasuno basically took techniques from. They absorbed little aspects of them. More Nekoma, like way more Nekoma than Fukurodani.
Mm-hmm.
But specifically with Fukurodani was more that their players taught some of our key players. I don't think there's enough build-up, really, for a grandiose mass match there.
Yep.
So if anything, I feel like that's more just evidence that Karasuno will... Of course, they won't win nationals. It'll be just a really well-fought ride through nationals where they win like 3 or 4 times before they get beaten by a team that we have had built up.
So it is possible that they don't win nationals.
Okay.
But this is called To the Top.
Yeah,
so
but that's...
I think they're at least going to do well at nationals. It's going to be hard fought, but they're going to do well. Here's my prediction.
Okay.
They're going to face Nekoma at some point, and they're going to beat Nekoma.
I can see that.
And then Fukurodani, they're going to almost face Fukurodani, and Fukurodani is going to get beaten by another team
that they beat.
That they then
beat Karasuno.
Or at least that's a way to build up. I won't say anything about the outcome of that fight, depending on how it goes into the tournament and things like that. But I think that that's how they're going to help build up the other team. Is that we're going to see a bit of their fight with Fukurodani. And maybe I'm going out too much on like a limb here. Yeah. Oh, it's totally a fight. And then from there, it's going to be like, okay, can we beat this team? Because they beat a powerhouse. You know, I mean, they're all powerhouses here. It's nationals, but
I feel like for what Haikyuu's about, max emotional character interaction drama, third years can't win nationals. Because it's the same kind of thing of season 1. We are entering into an environment that we're new with, and we need an Albo Jisai that will take it from us so that when we come back again, we'll have all this extra gumption coming into it, and we'll be doing this for the third years, and then that's where Karasuno as a team can go like crazy.
So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
How much in detail do you think they'll go into the other matches of the teams?
Non-Karasuno members?
Yeah, non-Karasuno. Because
I
feel
think
like
they'll do 1 set's worth of time for all of those games.
Gotcha.
Like I think essentially you could give 3 to 6 minutes for a match between like a really important team and then like a team we've never seen before. And we should use that to build up and focus on the team that we're going to face at some point. And then,
because I think that's what they'll do for the most part, but I think that there could be 1 or 2 where they actually go really in depth. If it's like once it gets to the more tense moments and stuff, like especially for the matches where, say, like if Fukurodani loses to another team or things like that, if there's known teams that lose against other teams, they could do that if they wanted to. Because like this whole thing of nationals, like there's a lot of teams here, right? So how long is this tournament going to last?
A lot of these are women's teams too, so they'll never face those.
Right.
Just but something I forgot about was when they showed 2 brackets on the board in the background there. One of those was a women's bracket and the other one was a men's bracket.
But it's 47 each, right? 47 women's and 47 men's?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily that. I think it's, if anything, there's 47 prefectures being represented, but not every prefecture is sending in 47 representative schools. Yeah, but each school could be only 1 guy's or 1 girl's or 1 of each. So there's no real way to know.
Well, yeah, we can check up on that later. But
that's just what we see here based on that. I mean,
well, okay, we can figure out exactly what it is. But depending on that, there could be nationals could take a very long time, like in the actual show.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be the entire 4th season.
Yeah, and it might not even be over by the time 4th season is over. Depending on how they want to do it. And that's one of the things that I'm wondering is like
we still haven't finished the first cour, and there's going to be another cour after this.
Yeah,
it's because they're going to do the Attack on Titan thing where they're going to have a cour here, they're going to have a gap season, and do another cour after that.
Well, and that's what I'm curious about is that based on how long into the tournament, into nationals, Karasuno is able to last, that will dictate a lot of just how long it lasts in the show. Because I really don't want to lose our third years. I really don't.
Well, I think we should prepare for the inevitable. It doesn't matter whether or not we win nationals. They're not playing in the next year anyway.
Yes.
The best way to have, I would say, the most emotional catharsis for this would be to have them win once against a really important team for the third years. The biggest one for that is Nekoma. So yes, I do think that there is a high likelihood that not only they face Nekoma, but they beat Nekoma. I do not think, though, they should beat a team that is a non-Nekoma Fukurodani team. I think they should lose to one of those, because we've had characters that are literally built up as I represent an entire team.
Right.
I'm like, this isn't a Shiratorizawa type build-up then, which means we need a Shiratorizawa type arc for a specific team because that beats Karasuno.
No, I know. That's the thing that's so crazy about this, is that for Shiratorizawa, we were kind of freaking out because it's like, okay, we haven't fully been introduced to the team, so how do you do this level of gravitas for the match when we don't know the players, right? And it was perfect, but they spent 10 episodes on it, right?
Yep.
Now we're at Nationals. We know a few people on a bunch of the different teams, right? But we don't actually know the full teams. Like at most, there was like 2 people that were on the same team, right? From Kageyama's training camp. Right. So like, what does that mean? Like once they get into the matches, how long are these matches going to be? Are they going to need to build up the teams in previous matches that play against other teams before they get to Karasuno's match with them? Like how is this going to go? Like
they're going to lose. They're gonna lose. It's painfully obvious.
No. If they do lose, I hope they lose at like the end, like the very end, like they go the distance and then they lose. like because
I know
there's this part of me that's wondering, like, is there any way that they could have the show go where it's Karasuno does Nationals and whatever happens to the Nationals happens to the Nationals, and then I don't know.
Jacob, think about this in the meta way. Calm down. Like literally, listen to me. Mm-hmm. If they do it the way you're thinking there, they have to have season 5 be a Shiratorizawa type finals match. There's no other way to do that.
Right.
But if they do that, then they slow down the pacing so dramatically that they only probably do 3 or 4 games total in the rest of season 4. Like literally like 3 or 4 games with Karasuno. That's it. Mm-hmm. And I just don't think we're going to do that. I think
they can totally do that.
I think if anything, if they're going to do 3 or 4 games, I would actually rather go 2 or 3 games and have that third game be one that goes the full 5 sets, goes a full like 5 episodes, like 1 episode a set, and gets a good Abojisai season 2 or Abojisai more season 1 kind of feel, where it's we know what we're about. We have built up to this. We are firing on all cylinders. These guys are like that good. Yeah. And we get to get into their characters. We get to get into a lot of their team core spirit, what makes them a team. And we spend that time developing that team so that later when we rematch against them. Yeah.
Because from the meta perspective, this is what I'm kind of trying to figure out. When does Haikyuu end?
A long time from now.
Maybe.
I'll just tell you. It's there. The manga is like crazy big. Like if a lot of people have told me that like the manga is stupid long. Like we're not even close to the end of Haikyuu.
Gotcha.
Yeah, don't think about it from that perspective. There's no way of knowing really how long it's gonna go.
Sure. Well, because there's this idea that's been spinning around in my head since they introduced Kageyama's training camp, of the idea that it actually ends with Kageyama
getting recruited for like a
doing like an Olympics or like a game
pro,
or something. Yeah.
Like getting scouted.
Right, exactly. Sure. And then that's sort of the natural separation, right? Because there's the separation for Kageyama and Hinata that sort of signifies the end of high school or whatever,
the end of Haikyuu.
The end of Haikyuu, right? Yeah. But then like what happens before then and just thinking about this show without the third years, I can't.
Dude, like we've talked about this. This is old discussion. No, I just want to bring this up. Listen.
I know.
In season 1, we had literally these exact discussions because it was not about whether or not the third years would be out of the story. No, it would be about the third years coming by and visiting.
Yeah.
And having, girlfriends, jobs, lives, plans, trips, just stuff that they'd be doing.
Right, they could be Ukai's buddies that come and watch the matches.
Exactly. Yeah. So don't worry. It's going to be Daijobu. It's going to be amazing. It's freaking Haikyuu, dude. Yeah. All right. So, y'all, this is a long discussion, but thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next one, well, you can't because we're watching these week to week with all y'all there. But if you want full-length timer reactions, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. Any level of support there gets you access to our Discord, where you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general. There is also a manga-only stuff for people that want to do that. Yep. And you can also talk with Jacob about his sci-fi novel that sounds like a very familiar name.
Yeah, so, basically Haikyuu is now repping my sci-fi novel.
That's true.
Called Battle Lines. If you didn't notice, the next episode apparently is titled Battle Lines.
Yeah.
Boom. Great minds think alike, I guess. But if you want to check it out, it's really awesome, and it's on Amazon. Link in the description below. Hardback and ebook within the US, ebook outside the US. Go check it out.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.